Okay, so we've been dispatched to a 40-year-old male who's fallen from a roof about 6 meters up. We'll go through doctor's ABCs, but for the purpose of this assessment, danger will be cleared and we're able to go on in. Okay, so we'll go on in. Yeah. All right, so Ella, if you just want to pop the monitor there and have the bag over on that side, and then just start taking some vitals for me, that'd be great. Okay, hello sir, can you hear me? We're from the ambulance. So no response verbally. Doing some pain stimuli and getting some moans and groans. Eyes are unresponsive. I'm just going to expose the chest. Okay, and he seems to be posturing at the moment, so he has a I score of 1, he has a verbal score of 2, and he has a motor score of 2 as well, to give us a total of a GCS of a 5. So now I'm just going to look that his airway is patent, yes. He has bilateral breathing, and if we just expose his arms, Ella, can you expose that arm, Ella, in a bit? Not a rush.
Sure.
And he is warm and dry and has a weak radial pulse. So now what I'll do is I'll just go through my rapid trauma suite. Oh, just go like that. Right, so I seem to have found a boggy patch on the back of his head. And I'm just going to be checking for any other blood. If there is any, blood in here. Just checking under here. Feeling in the stomach. Palpating. Alright. Pretty blood. Right, so I find no blood and just that foggy spot on the back of his head. Ella, do you mind just getting a towel out?
Of course.
And I'm just going to put the towel underneath his head just to support his breathing. Ah, beautiful, thank you.
No worries.
Okay.
Would you like those vitals?
Yes, I love his vitals.
Cool. So he's got a heart rate of 50, irregular respirations at 12 per minute, blood pressure 160 on 90, blood glucose 7.6, and a temperature of 37.
Okay, cool. So he's a good candidate for an RSI, even though his GCS isn't out of 3 yet. It could potentially go. So he is relatively healthy. It's clear that it was a mechanical fall, so I will just call for backup. So AUT1 calls control.
Go ahead.
Requesting R50 for an RSI.
Copy. 10 minutes away. Can you prefer RSI?
Great, will do. Over. So my working diagnosis for this patient will be a severe TBI. It's consistent with the mechanism of injury, as he did fall down from 6 meters up. This patient cannot obey commands, and he is a GCS less than 10 and has irregular respirations. So this patient will need to be intubated and ventilated, and in order to do that we do need an ICP that's RSI qualified, so that is essentially why we call for backup. And we have been given the go to do the RSI checklist. So the first thing that we'll do is treat for the severe TBI. So what I'll get you to do is to get a non-reservoir bag out and put that on at 10 liters on a non-rebreather. And while you're doing that, I would gain bilateral IV access in both arms and get a 1 liter of saline prepped. And this is just so if the blood pressure ends up going under 120, then we've got a bag ready. At the moment, his blood pressure is at 160, so he doesn't qualify for that, but it's just getting it prepared. Because this patient has moans and groans with the motor score of being, the verbal score being a 2, we're going to need to we can give him morphine, so we would administer 3 mg of morphine for the agitation, delirium, and because it's it comes under for pain as well. So that's great, that's on. We've got the IV access. Yes, so I'll have a read, if you want to have a read.
1,000 milliliters, sodium chloride 0.9%, doesn't expire today.
Cool. So yeah, sodium chloride, 1,000 milliliters, and you're right, doesn't expire today. Cool. So we'll prep that line if that's all right, and then we'll just pop it So now we'll go through the RSI checklist. So, yep, so that's all good. So the first thing I think we'll need is just, we'll get some nasal prongs. We'll pop it on the head. It won't be going into any oxygen at the moment, just so that it's set up and ready. We will also, that's all good. So the next thing that we'll need to get ready are alternative airways, so an NPA and an OPA. And then, yeah, so we'll just have it here. And then the next thing that we're going to want is to have a Thomas tube, and we'll just put that underneath the head and unstrapped. What we also have is the suction, and we just have to make sure that's working. So that's working, and while Ella's doing that, once we've done all of these, we're just going to clear the space of everything else as we need it for extrication, and we need the right side clear for the RSI equipment. So we pretty much have the ECG attached, we've got the blood pressure cuff on, we have the SpO2 monitor on, and I think that's pretty much it. We'll get another set of vitals now because we've now put some oxygen on him, and we'll update the ICP as soon as we get those vitals. But what we'll do is we'll just go through the checklist and make sure that we've done everything. Okay, so attach nasal prongs without oxygen, yes. Pre-oxygenate using a reservoir mask, 10 liters, yep. Attach ECG, blood pressure, and SpO2. We've already done that from doing the assessment. Right, so the next part is to prepare the capnography if this is available, and it is, so we'll just do that quickly. Position the monitor so it can be seen. Yep, we can see it here. Gain IV access to bilaterally, we've done that. And prepare a running line of sodium chloride. Yep, that's what we got here. Position the patient for optimal airway control. Yep, so we've put a towel just underneath his head from the assessment as well. And placing a ETT tube holder, which we've got here. Ensure the suction is working and turn it off. Yes, it's working. Prepare a manual ventilation bag with PEEP, which we have not done yet, sorry, so we'll get that done. Yep, that's perfect, so we can just leave it on that side, just at the top of the head. Okay, and then obtain vital signs, which is what we're doing now, and we will update the ICP with our vitals and clear the area, which is what we did in the beginning, so that we can move the patient onto a stretcher since he's not on one right now. If the ICP cannot visualize the cords within 15 seconds or unable to intubate within 30 seconds with the laryngoscope, then it's considered to be a failed intubation. If this is the case, then manual ventilation with a BVM and PEEP set at 5 centimeters of water is required with one more attempt with a bougie. The ICP may ask the paramedic to assist with a method called burp, which is backwards, upwards, rightwards pressure on the trachea. This just helps by optimizing the laryngeal, pharyngeal, and oral access ventilation and oxygenation. If this ventilation is still not working, then you can use a BVM again, but with either a OPA, MPA, or an LMA. If there's still failed ventilation, then a cricothyroidotomy is the next intervention required by the ICP to perform.